If She Knew, a podcast where we talk about mental health, vulnerability, and all sorts of real life experiences that people go through but don't really talk about. You may notice that today I'm kind of in a different location because I am recording at my in-laws' house. I'm also wearing a little bit of a Christmas sweater today because we are going to a family party later. That's Christmas. It's a Christmas party, so I'm excited about that. But I kind of just wanted to do a little solo session short video for you guys this week because the past two episodes have kind of been on the longer end. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a break this week and just do something short and chill. I honestly haven't really prepared anything specifically for this episode, so I'm kind of just gonna flow with it a little bit. But as always, if you haven't already, go ahead and follow, as well as follow along on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube under Tierney's Journey, which is at TIERNEYS Journey. So let's get into it. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about trauma and how it impacts us / how we define it. So personally, I don't think that you can really compare trauma with other people. I don't think that you can say your trauma is greater than mine or my trauma is greater than yours, because I think that diminishes the validity of your feelings and how that trauma has impacted your life and affected you. I took a long time to figure this out though, because up until probably junior year of college, I had a really hard time comprehending that what I went through was traumatic and that it counted as trauma. Because in my head, I was like, well, I made it out like alive. Other people had it worse. Like, this doesn't count. It's not as bad as them. Like, it's not trauma. And I was having severe anxiety attacks, depression. I had a hard time with triggers and stuff like that, and I wasn't really correlating it. And I went to my therapist, and that was the first time that I heard of little t versus big T traumas. So big T traumas are kind of like obvious traumatic events, like a car accident, war, losing a family member. They're things that you would automatically see and know that they were going to impact somebody's life significantly, versus little t traumas are kind of little events that are kind of like inconspicuous, that have happened over and over repeatedly throughout your life and kind of add up eventually to affecting you in a similar way as big T trauma would. So I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, which differs from PTSD in the way that PTSD is kind of you're normal to a sense before, then you have one obvious traumatic event, like I said before, war, car accident, lose a family member, and then afterwards you're trying to work back to how you were before, the person you were before, versus complex PTSD. You've had a bunch of little t traumas that you've grown up with. So they've shaped who you are as a person, how you react to relationships, how you react to events, things that trigger you, what your coping mechanisms are, your personality, all that kind of stuff is affected by the trauma that you experience growing up throughout your life. So there's not really anything that you can get you like back to beforehand, because you grew up with it and it's shaped you, versus having been relatively, I mean, there is no normal, but like in this sense, normal beforehand and having a significant thing that impacted you. So I think that that was something that was really important to talk to my therapist about, because I was able to better understand that, okay, I have these tendencies. I act this way in relationships. I feel like I'm just trying to survive. I am having panic attacks constantly. I can't breathe. I'm a perfectionist. I'm really hard on myself. And I wasn't really correlating why I was the way I am until I started talking to her about my trauma. And I was able to put the pieces together of, okay, the reason why I do this is because I experienced this. So now that I was able to connect that, it's helped me so much more to be able to process new events that happen in my life and new conflicts. For example, like last year, I was in a very bad place. I was having anxiety attacks every day, crying every day. I couldn't cope. I was really struggling. Versus this year, I have felt with the seasons changing and it getting darker and colder, I felt that little bit of depression try to sneak its way in. But I've been able to identify those tendencies that happen when I become depressed and learn ways to cope and help prevent it from getting worse with the use of therapy, which has been super beneficial. And I am so, so grateful that I had the opportunity to do that, because I am able to still function relatively normally compared to where I was at last year, because I developed those skills. I know that the holidays are coming up and that the holidays can be traumatic or difficult for some people. Some people have lost family members, broken relationships, significant traumatic events have happened on Christmas or around the holidays. So I just hope that this season you can find something to put your joy in and to feel fulfilled in, and that you can find a friend, a family member, somebody that you trust, that you can confide in and kind of talk to them about your emotions, how you're feeling about the holidays coming up. Find someone that can help you to get through the holidays, and even like going to a therapist to talk about ways to cope. For example, if you lost someone around the holidays, doing a tradition that reminds you of them, that keeps them close to you, things like that. And that's pretty much it. I feel like I'm keeping this super short this week because I am very excited about next week's episode, because it is fully holiday based, about mental health around the holidays. And then I have some really, really exciting guests coming up on the podcast over the next couple months that I'm really excited about, to talk about anything from chronic illness, eating disorders, family trauma, all of that stuff. And I think that that's going to be really helpful for some of you to hear, to find a story that you can relate to or somebody to relate to, so that you can feel less alone in your experience. And I just am really grateful for you guys, and I hope that you have a fantastic week and find something that is going to bring you joy this week. I hope you have a good week. Love you. Bye.